Police officer is not what I do, it's what I am. I'm a police officer all the time. When I sleep, I'm a police officer. When I'm going to my son's baseball game, I'm a police officer. But at the same time, we're people also. And we usually do a good job of keeping that separate.
This just into our newsroom. A plane has crashed into the World Trade Center.
My immediate reaction was some little Piper Cub pilot must have had a heart attack or got lost or couldn't pull out and hit the World Trade Center.
Did you manage to see what kind of plane it was?
No, I couldn't tell. It was a smaller plane. It looked like a smaller plane, but I couldn't tell.
When we walked out and we saw the burning of the tower, we were absolutely shocked. We couldn't believe it. At that point, I think we were people. We weren't police officers. We were in our jaws dropped.
I heard the plane very close to the top of the buildings. I looked outside, and I saw it hit, and it exploded immediately.
One of the detectives standing next to me, all of a sudden, I could still feel it. She grabs my arm, and she says, "What's that?" And we looked to our right, and as we looked to our right, the second plane was coming. And we knew what was going to happen. We knew it. We all knew. And we watched the plane go across the river, and we watched it turn. And it just actually went in one side and out the other side of the building.
It is horrific. A second plane the size of a passenger jet flying into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
We saw the hit. We heard the explosion, and then we felt the whoosh of the heat and the explosion come our way.
We have no idea, of course, of the casualties at this point, but there's obviously enormous loss of life. The fire keeps growing, the smoke keeps billowing.
Right.
So now we're sort of talking to each other. All right, what are we going to do? We gotta decide what we're doing. There was pretty much no communications. Communications had gone down. The radios weren't working. Phone communication. Forget who are you going to call? You know, everybody in headquarters had left.
Oh, my God, the building fell. Oh, my God, the building just fell. The entire World Trade Center on the South building just fell.
Then the rumors started. All the rumors were starting about who was dead, and this chief was caught, and nobody's seen the mayor, and nobody knows where the commissioner is, and the whole fire headquarters was lost, and who's in charge, you know? And you'd look around, and you'd see if you were the highest-ranking person, you were in charge. If there was somebody else higher ranking than you went to him, and he was almost looking at you like, why are you coming to me? I don't want to be in charge.
Is that the second building of the World Trade Center going down?
Yes, that is the second. That is the second tower. That is the second tower.
Down. It's a huge plume of smoke that came out of the middle of the building, and then the building just disappeared in the smoke.
They sent us to the hospitals because they had expected there to be a large influx of injured. All the hospital crews were ready, completely on alert. All the doctors and the nurses were standing in the street waiting for the ambulances to come to the emergency rooms, and nobody came. Dribs and drabs of people came in. Mostly people who came in had minor injuries. After 2 or 3 hours of that, you knew. As a police officer, as a doctor in the hospital, as the nurse, we knew that they weren't going to be survivors. They were just going to be victims. People started to line up outside the armory, and these poor people, they all had pictures, and they all knew that their person was going to be okay. That everybody else's wasn't, but their particular one was going to be found, whether it was their son or their daughter, or their husband, wife, mother, father, whatever it was. We would bring them in, one family at a time. We had hundreds of detectives there, and we'd be bringing people in all day long. Invariably, one of them would hold the detective's hand as they were talking, and we'd talk with them for however long it took, knowing there was nothing we could do to help these poor people. And when we finished, they'd get up and kiss you and thank you and leave, and then you'd have to do it again. I don't think anybody involved ever wants to do it again. I don't ever want to interview a victim's family again. I had my fill. We realized that we had to start moving the debris. But yet all of that had value, all of that had forensic value. There might be people in that debris. There were. Somebody who I knew from the past was put in charge of that task, and he asked me to go up there to Fresh Kills. Every single piece of debris that left the World Trade Center was visually and manually inspected at Fresh Kills. I feel confident that there's not a piece of debris that we didn't check. The force that those buildings created when they came down just reduced everything to small pieces of dust and debris. We didn't find one filing cabinet, one desk, one chair, nothing. Everything was gray. Some of it was gray metal, some of it was gray debris, but everything was just this ashen color. It all was pulverized, it all burnt. Now, within that, we still found over 4,000 pieces of forensic evidence, human remains. I wouldn't hesitate to talk to any victim's family and tell them we did our best. We looked. Maybe we didn't find your son or your daughter, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Probably more than half the people will be identified, and the remainder, there just wasn't anything left. The heat, 4,000 degrees of burning jet fuel, nothing could survive. I was tired. At the end, I was worn out. I was ready to stop, and I did. I retired. My wife's glad that I'm not doing it any longer. When you're the spouse or the mother, the father of a police officer who goes to work every day, I guess it's not easy. I guess you're always thinking about where are they, what are they doing, or she doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
It is now my pleasure to ask the Chief of Personnel, Rafael Pinheiro, to administer the oath of office to the graduating class.
My daughter messed the whole thing up, and she'll have to worry about my daughter.
Okay. Now, God, Joey, take.
That's that mystery cough you're hearing about in the newspapers. That small, dry cough that all the guys seem to be coming up with. That's it. So I have it too. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? I have acute sinusitis now. I had an infection in my esophagus, which led to acid reflux. And they've diagnosed me with sleep apnea. So all of that has developed in the past year. The doctor feels that it all goes back to the dust from 9/11 when I was working in Fresh Kills.
Where'd he go? Where you going? Where you going? Sit down if you want to watch the train.
Well, January wasn't fun. For lack of a better term, they're calling it restrictive airway disease. Stairs were starting to get to me. Any sort of physical work, any exertion was getting to me. Opening in my throat had closed. I was having difficulty breathing. My sinuses were clogged. I was having difficulty getting air in.
This biscuit. Where's biscuit? Say goodbye.
Bye.
One night they wired me up and they watch you as you sleep. And they told me that I woke up 147 times during the course of the night. The doctor said, he said, look, we're just not getting anywhere. He says, we're going to have to perform some surgery. And he said, well, what we'll do is we'll go in through your nose, we'll go into your sinuses. You seem to have some growths in there, we'll take those out. Then we're going to go down your throat. And he said, we'll have to increase the size of your airway, so we're going to have to cut out a piece of your throat, cut out a piece of the back of your palate, and reduce the size of your tongue. And he said to me, this is probably going to be the most painful thing you've ever experienced. So after he finished his explanation, I said to him, I said, why would you say that? Why would you sit in your office and tell a patient who's sitting across from you that what I'm going to do to you is the most painful thing you're ever going to feel? I said, why wouldn't you just wait for me to wake up and feel it and curse you then?
Have a seat.
And he laughed and he said, for two reasons. He said, one, I know you for about 3 years now, and I like you. And he says, and two, I know you have a gun.
Too late to bail out now.
Too late to... No, you can bail at any time. No?
Here you can kind of see already a lot of thick mucus coming out of the natural, sort of an accessory opening to his sinuses there.
When I woke up, the doctor was 100% right. It hurt.
How do you feel? You having pain still? Okay, we'll let you settle down, then we'll give you some pain medicine.
I couldn't talk, couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. I was in the hospital, I think 6 or 7 days. They wouldn't let me leave the hospital until I could stand in front of the doctor and drink a glass of water. He said, you can't leave until you can stand in front of me and drink a glass of water, because I couldn't swallow.
What's the matter? What's going to do?
I had to relearn how to eat over again. I had to learn how to chew, I had to learn how to swallow, because the food just would not go down. I still cannot drink quickly from a bottle. If I drink quickly from a bottle, it comes out my nose. I have to be conscious. I can drink from a bottle, but I have to be conscious that I am. Would I have had the medical problem I have now if this didn't happen? No, I wouldn't. But those people wouldn't be dead either, and they are. You know, so these things, you know, it's happened, and life goes on, and everything, all the scars are there. Scars heal, but they're still there. You get a cut, it heals over, it becomes a scar, and it doesn't hurt you anymore, but the scar is still there. And that's what this is. It's something that's going to be with us forever. My health issues in relation to 9/11 was something that happened, but it happened to everybody. I mean, I can't wish it away. I just have to accept it. You can ignore it or accept it. Either way, it's not going to change. It's not going to affect whatever it is.
I can't touch latex.
When I close my eyes now and I picture the World Trade Center, I don't picture the 2 tall buildings. I picture the site the day after, or that day. That's what I see when I close my eyes and see the World Trade Center. So I almost don't even remember the two tall buildings anymore. I know they were there, and every once in a while you'll be watching a movie and you'll say, oh, look at that, the World Trade Center. I can picture the debris falling and still glowing red. I can picture the girder that fell on the sign of a cross. I can picture that. The bucket lines. That's what I see when I close my eyes and I see the World Trade Center. I really don't even see the planes hitting. And you see the aftermath. Monkey baby?